Welcome to a brand new network, Sci-Spi TV. Creators of a new genre, Sci-Spi, merging science and spirituality, along with a revolutionary new interactive format so that you can virtually engage in many ways on our fascinating journey around the globe and into the cosmos. Featuring world-renowned authors, speakers, and experts in many fields. Sci-Spi TV is a brand new internet TV network that will rock your world. Sci-Spi.tv is proud to promote Contact in the Desert 2019, featuring many world-renowned speakers, authors, and experts in many fields. I am Suzanne Ross, creator and executive producer of Sci-Spi.tv. I'm delighted to bring you this fun and exciting series of clips featuring my discussions with many of the speakers at this year's Contact in the Desert extravaganza. Enjoy these sneak peek previews.
So who built it and when and why and how is... I've been there 55 times so far.
Oh my goodness.
I'm slowly cracking the code of the place, but it's like going and a giant book is presented to you. It's like, you're on page 14, you can reach page 15, then we close the book again, because you're never going to understand this in even 55 times, but by the 100th, you'll probably have cracked the code.
Sci-Spi.tv is proud to present a leading expert in Earth's energy grids and megaliths, Hugh Newman. And I love alternative history, and clearly we've, shown time and again, just in the last several years, that, what we were led to believe to be true on many levels.
Yeah.
Isn't, and then on top of that, the deceit and the cover-up, and sometimes it makes you scratch your head. Why cover that up? Like, I can see some of the things of cabal, this, that, and the other, but why cover up that there were giants? Like, well, what's the harm in that?
I know, it's a problem. It's a giant problem.
And I love how giants and megalithomania, it still goes together.
Yeah.
Right.
Just quickly, it's like, especially in Britain, we're finding that there's so many legends of giants saying they built the megalithic sites. And now what we're doing is we're finding reports of giant skeletons at the megalithic sites.
Beautiful.
And it's like boom. So it's pretty obvious that they may have been involved in their construction. And the traditions all around the world seem to match that.
Okay, now what's your theory about a little help from the cosmos?
It's quite possible. I've been involved in Ancient Aliens for 5 or 6 years now.
I've seen you on the show.
So I'm open to it because when you go to sites like Göbekli Tepe in southeast Turkey, you go to the polygonal walls of Peru, you go to Puma Punku in Bolivia, you go to the Giza Plain. You look at this and you just, the complicated polygonal, abstract, artistic design is so non-human that it makes you just go, there's no other option. It was aliens.
To experience more of Hugh Newman's fascinating revelations, tune in to his show on Sci-Spi.tv, Megalithic TV. Enjoy this Sci-Spi sneak peek featuring author, speaker, publisher, and explorer, Brad Olson. Then you have Beyond Esoteric coming out in 2018.
Right, the ultimate journey. And I never repeat any information, so now I've closed a lot of bookends that remained open, as well as some things that have been withheld from humanity, such as giants in our ancient history, which is one of the workshops I'll be doing here at Awareness Life Expo, with a lot of information and evidence that us puny little humans once lived among very large giants who were not human, because sometimes they had an extra digit on their finger or another row of teeth, plus they were many, many feet taller than we are. And there's skeleton evidence, there's Egyptian hieroglyphic evidence, and here in North America, quite a few of the mound sites of the Midwest. And I did a book called Sacred Places North America when I first started getting introduced to this subject, finding that a lot of these mounds that were excavated in the 19th century contain these giants. But because this model of other humans living on this planet, perhaps a long time ago, but perhaps intermingling with humans, was not part of that cookie-cutter formula of history, that much of this has been erased. And there is what we call Smithsonian Gate, that the Smithsonian Institute would come down and say, okay, we're going to take over this dig, Dr. So-and-so, you're relieved of duty, and that's the last of it. Nobody would hear from it ever again. But fortunately, there are literally hundreds of newspaper accounts of some of these digs at some of these mound sites, which do give us a glimpse of what was really in there. And yes, it's quite fascinating.
To learn more esoteric wisdom from Brad Olson, tune in to his show on Sci-Spi.tv, the Esoteric Series. Sci-Spi TV proudly presents Linda Moulton Howe, reporter and editor for EarthFiles.com and an Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmaker. Presenting Linda Moulton Howe. I'd like to start with this concept that Barbara Hanclow and I have discussed a few times, and it has to do with our Earth being surrounded, or maybe like you said, the universe being wrapped in this sort of astral realm. Now, Barbara talks about it being 4D, and so she shows it as actually a canopy over 3D, and then those 3D souls who are evolving or seeking ascension, if you will, they have to go through that astral realm in order to progress to a higher dimensional experience of the reality. And in that transitional realm, it's the realm of angels and demons, where you have extremes in the contrasts.
Right.
And so it's similar to what you were talking about. So can you tell us about how you learned about this sort of physics that sort of show the energetics around all this?
I am sitting there thinking it has taken 96 to 2016 for me to be sitting with somebody who seems to really know what they're talking about when it comes to this bismuth magnesium. Then to my surprise, he said, another area that I was working on while he's studying and doing the physics has to do with blocking natural magnetic field collapses between our matter universe and the dimension, this is his words, the dimension that encases this matter universe. And he said it's what people have always called the astral plane, but I was studying what's in it, what's dangerous, and how does the United States government block that which is dangerous from coming in here. I never heard anybody who is a physicist talk like this, but he also is helping the government learn how to block and access. The governments would like to be able to block the energies from the astral plane, but they want to go into the astral plane to try to understand what is, and you had the word, what is the demon energy in the astral plane and why.
Sci-Spi TV proudly presents living legend Eric Von Daniken. He is the author of over 20 books exploring the concept which he founded called Ancient Astronaut Theory. It is truly my pleasure to introduce Eric Von Daniken. Hello and welcome to Lighten Up TV. I'm your host Suzanne Ross, and I am here with the living legend Eric Von Daniken, best-selling author of over 40 books, has sold over 75 million copies worldwide, started writing in the 60s, really, and your main goal has been to bring the story to life of ancient Sumer.
Well, it all started with Chariots of the Gods.
Yes, it
In
certainly did.
1968, and Chariots of the Gods was my first book. And there I asked the question, have we been visited from outer space? Have our ancestors some thousands of years ago had visits from outer space? That was the beginning of everything.
Yes, I love your book, Chariots of the Gods, and have read it and listened to it multiple times. And so you sort of picked up on what the cuneiform texts, the story that they were being told, and translated that into the Chariots of the Gods, correct?
Yes and no. I mean,
Okay.
there are not only cuneiform texts. Cuneiform are from Old Sumerian. But we have texts from Old India, we have texts from old religious sources, like including the Bible, etc. And in many of these texts, they speak about visitors from outer space. Now, let me clear.
Okay.
I'm a believer in God. I am a figure who still pray every evening. But I was educated as a Catholic in Switzerland. I was for 6 years in a boarding school, led by Jesuits. And there we had to make translations already from one language, Latin, to the next language, Greek, of these old texts. Now, as a young man, a deep believer in God, I had some ideas, what is God? At least this figure or whatever, the spirit God, must have had some minimum qualities. For example, God makes no mistakes. Or God would never need a vehicle in which to move around from point A to point B because God is all over. Or God is out of time. God does not need to make an experiment, but then he has to wait what the result is. He knows it before. So that was my ideas as a boy. Then I read the Bible, we translated the Bible, and I realized in the Bible we have a God who descends on the holy mountain with smoke, fire, trembling, loud noise. The mountain was glowing like a furnace, etc. So all of a sudden I had doubts in my own education. What are they talking about? My God doesn't need a vehicle which descends with smoke and fire and trembling and loud noise. Or you read the book of Ezekiel in the Bible. Ezekiel describes how a chariot comes down from the sky. He describes the wheel, he describes the wings, he describes the legs. So all this is technology. I simply had doubts in my own Catholic education, and I wanted to find out if other communities in antiquity have similar stories than we have, we Christians. That was the beginning of cuneiform and all the other stuff later. So.
Sci-Spi.tv proudly presents author, researcher, and Ubuntu project leader Michael Tellinger. Enjoy. Here we go. Okay. Let's just take a deep breath after that.
Oh, no,
Get grounded.
It energizes me to talk
Oh,
about
good.
that.
You're jacked up now. Okay. I get you all jacked up before the interview. Okay.
Gets me excited.
Right on.
It's like a challenge, you know?
For sure. I love it. Okay. Hello and welcome to Lighten Up. I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and we are here at Contact in the Desert having such a good time, and it is such an honor and privilege to be here with Michael Tellinger. Welcome,
Hello,
Michael.
Susanna. Nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you too. Of course, Michael is a speaker here at this incredible event. I am a huge fan. I love your book, Slave Species of the Gods, and have gone through every page of that book. Look, I have goosebumps talking about it. So remarkable. And I, of course, was present for your presentation yesterday. Also very fascinating. What would you like to share with our audience today?
I think the first thing I'd like to add is this journey is a journey of discovery, a continuous discovery. And one needs to keep continuously an open mind. And one of the anecdotes I share from a good friend of mine that's passed on now, I used to say, having an open mind is like being pregnant. You can't be half pregnant.
So whenever you start talking to somebody, you say, well, look, you need an open mind for this. And people say, well, I have an open mind, but. I go, okay, our conversation has just ended. You can't say, I have an open mind, and then follow it by but. That means you don't have an open mind and you're half pregnant, and that's an impossibility. So.
Yes, I think Frank Zappa said that you have to have an open mind. It's like a parachute.
Yes.
If it's only half open, you're going to crash land, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the reason I say this is because many of the things that I held dear 10 years ago are now busted, and I had to come to terms with the fact that I had insufficient information or the wrong information, and I had to find new information to formulate new ideas, new philosophies, and new belief system that I now hold. And that might change tomorrow by discovering something new, and that'll shift my perception and the way I see things. Mm-hmm. And so it's a continuous journey of discovery and rediscovery, and that's what I believe keeps it so exciting.
Absolutely, and that is the trait that you need if you're going to be a truth seeker, is the willingness to explore, come out with it, reveal it, but be flexible when new information comes in. And I just love how we're moving past these dogmatic beliefs that keep us trapped in these certain beliefs, you know.
Yeah.
I love the opportunity to continue to explore as new things come in.
Yeah. You know, as long as people believe in what I say, that's great. I don't care.
Sci-Spi.tv is delighted to present James Gilliland. How do you like to be introduced? Do you have like a title or?
No.
You said he.
Just James.
Just James?
Just James, yeah.
Just James. There you go. You could
Just
be
look
your
at
new.
James. He's got no shoes on. That tells you right there.
Take him off with it.
He's laid back.
Yeah. Just I don't know, James Gilliland, author. Just about everything. I don't know. I don't know what it is I don't do. It's like kind of weird because I've written songs, written music, author, toilet fixer. Plumber.
Hello and welcome to lightenuptv.net. I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and it is such a pleasure to be here today with James Gilliland. Welcome, James.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
We are here at Contact in the Desert 2018, and we're all having so much fun, so many great speakers and presentations, activities, and I am honored to be here with James today because I am so fascinated by his E-SETI ranch and all of the paranormal activity that goes on there. So we're going to chat about that a little bit. He's also an author and a musician. And he was telling me there's nothing he isn't. So the man who does everything.
Cleaning the toilets and whatever else needs to get done at the ranch. So,
so what inspired you to start E-SETI Ranch?
well, that's a long story. It was mainly dreams and visions. And I was in Santa Cruz, California, and I was teaching self-mastery classes and inner sensitivity training. And I kept having visions over and over of the ranch. I didn't know where it was, and I was told that I was going to be doing something bigger, you know, more of a spiritual community type thing. And I got a map of the United States, and a pendulum, and I went over the whole map, and my hand got really hot over Trout Lake, Washington, that area. And what's weird is I circled it on the map. I threw the map in my closet, and I forgot about it. And it ended up there anyway, through a series of synchronistic events.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love that. It's kind of like a vision board.
Yeah, I don't think I could have not pulled this one off. I had so much guidance and I'd say intervention along the way.
So if there were to be, I know there's a lot of paranormal activity out there, but clearly there was some higher guidance that really wanted you to set up this ranch there.
Definitely.
And so what do you think that purpose really is?
Well, when I started the ranch, I was creating a healing center, like an alternative healing center. And that was my main focus. And again, I was teaching, a lot of process-oriented therapies and things of that nature. And so about, I was there for a little while, and all of a sudden the ship started appearing and started communicating, and next thing you know, it just evolved, into a place where the veils are just so thin there. It's actually a stargate, and it's a vortex at the same time, and so it's not just the ships that are there. It's very easy to connect with the masters, the ascended masters, the higher dimensional beings, the nature kingdom, all of that. It's all going on there. It's not just one thing.
Here we are at the V Heritage Site in supernatural Sedona, the largest and most well-preserved petroglyph site in the Verde Valley, with 1,032 petroglyphs carved onto 13 panels. This is known as the Beaver Creek rock art style and is attributed to the southern Sinagua culture of Native Americans who resided here between 1100 and 1300 AD. Most of the petroglyphs are zoomorphs, representing animals that were prevalent here at the time. But the ones we're really intrigued by are the spirals and the grids and the strange-looking humanoids. Could these spirals represent cycles of time, or maybe the Milky Way galaxy? Could the grids represent a matrix of consciousness enveloping our world, the true nature of reality we're experiencing? And what do the strange humanoid figures represent? Could these be otherworldly visitors who came to this area to visit the Sinaguans at that time? These are important historical symbols that give us an indication on our virtual quest for the truth about our origin and destiny here in supernatural Sedona. To help us understand the deeper meaning and significance these symbols may have had for the Native American peoples at that time is Zuni, Clifford Mahooty. Thank you so much for joining us, Clifford.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I've always been interested in a lot of these rock drawings all over the Southwest and other places, and it seems to me that it's a storybook of what our ancestors wrote many years ago, and this is our permanent record. And so I have been working with this type of petroglyphs for some time. Around Zuni, where I'm from, we have a lot of those, but as you go out further away from my own hometown, you see the same symbols and the same types of petroglyphs in the rock art, and they seem to have a continuity about things that probably occurred way back about 1,000 years ago, at least. And others are even older than that. But I'm glad to be here with you folks and see what we can find out about my ancestors when they wrote these thousands of years ago. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to a very intriguing episode of Supernatural Sedona, a virtual quest for the truth about our origin and destiny. On this episode, we are going to be exploring the ancient mysteries of the American Southwest. We'll examine the possibilities that the ancient people of Egypt, Tibet, and Sedona in the Grand Canyon are all interconnected. What if the ancient Egyptians, Tibetans, and Native Americans are all interrelated as ancient ancestors? To guide us on our journey, we are joined by well-known author, adventurer, and star of the very popular television series Ancient Aliens, David Childress. Welcome, David, and thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's good to be here.
As we explore the origin and destiny of our civilization here in Sedona, the origin myths of the Native Americans become very intriguing. And I think many people believe they were the first settlers of the American Southwest. But now we may have proof that they are descendants of a much earlier race, maybe even predating our first known civilizations. Who do you think the first settlers of the American Southwest were?
Well, mainstream archaeologists and anthropologists are telling us that all Native Americans walked across the Bering Straits, came from Siberia to Alaska, and then walked down through Canada and ultimately down to Mexico and walked all the way to South America too.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea that ancient people had to walk every place rather than, say, going by boat is a big schism, really, within archaeology and anthropology. And it's what's really known as the schism between isolationists versus diffusionists. So in the isolationist version, oceans are barriers. People can't just get into a boat and go someplace. Well, you know, oceans are barriers. So if you wanted to go from, say, China or Egypt to South America or Mexico or something, well, you have to walk there everywhere through thousands of miles of hostile tribes and everything like that. You just can't get into a boat because oceans are barriers. Now, the flip side of that is that oceans aren't barriers. Oceans are highways. And in fact, the easy way to go to someplace, really, in a distance, is to go by boat. And if you want to look at the highways of a continent, look at the river systems. And in fact, major cities are often built where rivers meet an ocean or come to a lake or something like that.
For trade and
Right. So the idea that people couldn't get into boats in China or Southeast Asia or Egypt or Spain or North Africa and India even, and go somewhere in a boat, I mean, that's actually unscientific. But yet that's what's being taught to us today in universities around our country. And these PhD professors are telling us, yeah, people can't get into a boat and go somewhere. They have to walk. It's crazy. So, in fact, when you look at, say, the stories of the Hopis and apparently the Zunis, Indians too, their story is that they came here by boat on a very long trip.
To watch the full interview, visit Lighten Up TV on Sci-Spi.tv. Sci-Spi.tv is delighted to introduce hypnotic regressionist Yvonne Smith. Hello and welcome to Lighten Up. I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and it is such a pleasure to be here today with Yvonne Smith. Welcome, Yvonne.
Thank you very much.
And Yvonne is an abduction regressionist therapist, and also she is the founder of CERO, which I understand is really a support group for those who have had.
That's what it is, a Close Encounter Resource Organization. I founded this support group 25 years ago because I realized back then, of course, back then we were barely doing email. Everything was phone calls. People were feeling very isolated after they had a regression, and I was usually the only person they spoke to. So I decided, starting with 5-6 people in my living room, we started the support group. And now it's grown. I have 2 locations where we meet in Southern California, and we meet every month.
And from your presentation, I can see that people are coming out with some really incredible experiences and a lot of similarities between the experiences.
Oh, the similarities are astounding, and that's what I think kept me going with the work, because I thought, that all the experiences were different and people were describing the beings differently. Then I thought, okay, this is not real, or something that's actually happening to them. But in fact, it was the opposite, because people were describing how they were taken, their emotions were the same, the interior of the craft, and more and more as years went on, and still people that I've worked with don't know each other, and yet they're drawing the same thing, they're talking about the same thing. Now, of course, it's more difficult because we do have the internet, and there's all sorts of things out there that aren't even real. There's Photoshop and all that. So I tell my support group member, I tell the experiences, be careful what you read on the internet, be careful what you see, because not all of it is real. So you have to really separate the wheat from the chaff when,
Yeah.
it's really complicated, especially those of us who work in the field. It has complicated our work because there's so much out there that is, faked. So you have to be very careful.
And that, to me, feels like why regression is so important, because what comes through under hypnotic regression is authentically coming from this person's memory.
Absolutely. They're haunted by the hidden memories. People who have, say, missing time or something that they saw in their home, in their room, they'll be flooded with a blue white light, and then memory stops after that. But the way that the subconscious works is that it'll bubble these bits and pieces of memory to the surface, because our subconscious protects us whenever we suffer from any type of a trauma. So that's what it does with, of course, abductions or contact, because in the beginning people don't know what they're experiencing, and it's not until they have an understanding of it and going through the process of regression, bringing up those hidden memories to a conscious level, and intellectually they know, and I give them suggestions, whatever you went through, whatever happened, you came out of it and you're all right.
Hello and welcome to Lighten Up TV. I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and it is such an honor and a privilege to be here today with Travis Walton. Welcome, Travis.
Well, thanks for having me.
We are here at the Cosmic Awakening Conference at the Creative Life Center in Sedona, Arizona. And Travis Walton is a speaker here at this incredible event. And his book, A Fire in the Sky, The Walton Experience, documents details around the actual experience that he had. Of course, there was a major Hollywood movie made about his experience called Fire in the Sky, but now Travis has come out with a book and a documentary to really reveal what actually happened. So it's so wonderful that you agreed to do the Hollywood movie, though, because truly your experience gave a lot of people, I think, the courage to come out and really speak out about their experience.
Yeah, even though there was the inevitable Hollywood fictionalizations that were added, but I think overall the net effect was beneficial. It did, like you say, awaken people to the reality of this.
Yes, that is true. And the movie was, Hollywood style, but I think that being that had a really powerful impact on so many millions of people to open their mind, to this idea that, yes, there are crafts coming and abductions are happening.
Yeah, and back when this happened, it was pretty well established that anybody who believed that such things could be was a kook. I mean, the general consensus attitude, everybody got it that, aliens, ha ha ha, what a joke. But, we're at a point in our scientific knowledge, verifiable facts, that anybody that thinks that we're alone in the universe or that it's impossible for them to reach here, that's the kook. Those are the nutcases.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In the delusion that we are alone in a galaxy with billions of solar systems, yes. So, I'm sure that you've been asked a million times, but can you give us a brief description in your own words about what happened on November 5th?
Well, November 5th, 1975, I was working in the woods with 6 other men. We encountered a UFO on the way home from work, and I got out to take a closer look. Wound up being injured by discharge of energy from the craft, and being taken aboard, and for over 5 days.
Sci-Spi.tv is excited to introduce author, teacher, and healer Jason Quitt. Enjoy.
You have to really have your own strength and your own power to navigate these spiritual worlds. Because if you don't, you can be pulled in all these different directions, and some of those directions may not be very good for you. So, like I said, all those experiences, even the scariest ones, I wouldn't trade them for the world, because they taught me the most incredible lessons.
I think stories are such a powerful way to convey teachings, you know, and many of us have had similar experiences, especially in the crowd that we're with here this weekend at Contact in the Desert, you know, and so when you can really see the teachings and the lessons within the experiences and then share them with others so that they can benefit from those as well.
And the book Forbidden Knowledge has exploded. It's still selling like just like day one. It hasn't stopped, and it's being translated in French, German, Chinese, Japanese, and soon to be Spanish. So, you know, there has to be something in there that people are resonating with, and I get emails all the time from people saying, the way you describe this experience is exactly what happened to me, and I've never heard anybody else talk about that. So thank you for sharing it, because now I know I'm not crazy.
Yes.
I get messages like that constantly. It makes me feel really good. Yeah.
Before we wrap up our interview, could you share one of the more crazier experiences from your book?
Oh, there's a lot of crazy. The one
the crazier the better, right, Eric?
I would say the one that had the most impact in my life was I realized that the voices or my thoughts, just my own thoughts, sometimes weren't mine. That was the biggest teaching I've ever had, where I would be dreaming. I would be in a dream state, and I'd be having a weird dream, and I'd hear my own voice talking to me in my dream, and it didn't feel right. And I would pop out of my body and raise above the bed so I could see myself in bed, and I would see an entity laying in bed with me talking into my ear. And I realized at that point that there are things that manipulate us, and we think it's us. We think it's our own inner voice that's talking to us, and it's not. So we have to be very careful and learn how to filter and discern the information that's coming through to us, even if we think it's our own thoughts.
Sci-Spi.tv is honored to present Professor of Physics and Astronomy and TV personality, Michael Dennehy.
It's exciting to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, the title, Divine Science, drew me to your work because I have created a television network called Sci-Spi, merging science and spirituality. And of course, regardless of the word that you use, spirituality, religion, faith, you know, we're kind of talking about a similar thing. However, I do think your choice of the word faith is interesting. And so let's share with the audience the subtitle of your book, Finding Reason at the Heart of Faith.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I chose that on purpose is too often I feel the word faith now is used for what people stick the adjective blind faith in front of it, which is in believing in something with no reasons whatsoever. And for me, the people who have deep faith who have most impressed me are people who actually act very much like scientists. They're often asking questions. They often have very challenging questions, and they may not know all the answers. And it's more about moving forward, even if you don't have all the answers, but still constantly asking questions and looking for answers.
For more of Michael Dennehy's knowledge about divine science, tune in to his show on Sci-Spi.tv. Sci-Spi.tv is proud to present author and host of New Realities TV, Alan Steinfeld.
Okay.
I am in
You got us, sweetie?
supernatural Sedona. It doesn't get any more naturally
supernatural than this.
or natural than this, actually.
Oh, this feels so natural.
But you have a sense of humor. No, this is great. No, I'm here with the two goddesses of the vortex, and it is really nice to be within that female energy and have them anchor the earth energies through their bodies and connect with the sky to ground the light energies. And that's what you both are doing here in Supernatural Sedona. You're actually grounding it into the earth. Don't you feel that? What's been...
I do. I think that especially when the two of us come together, not only do we activate each other, but we also activate the different portals and vortexes, because I really believe that's what it is. It's us. We are that pillar of light between the energies coming in from the cosmos and the energies coming up from the earth. You know, we are that rainbow bridge that, you know, connects that powerful energy from above and from below, and really, you know, creates that portal that holds the energy for those portals.
Well, I just love what you're saying, because it's so important that you know this, because as we voice these connections, it actually does manifest those into material form. So it's like, oh yeah, I feel something. No, that's not good enough as knowing what you just said, that you are these connection points. And so we have to just suspend, and this is what you've helped me with, because I do have a lot of experiences. I've had a lot of visitations. I feel called to the earth here. I feel, you know, this, as I put my feet on the earth, I feel like I am on home ground here. It's just like dropped into like where we've always are, this red earth, of course. It's like activating the higher oxygen content because of the iron that makes the rocks red, that makes our blood red. You know, this is so, in a sense, this is the blood of the earth we're standing on. This is a materialized, manifested blood of the earth that is linking to our ancestral lineage. So we're here on the oldest earth on the planet, the oldest ground, the oldest geological formations that take us back to the time of the earliest incarnations of the human species onto the earth plane. They came here, they saw this earth, they saw it as beautiful, and they made it their home because they knew they could live and multiply and enjoy the beauty of this dimension. We chose Earth because the earth chose us, and we're here to now reunite that circle of that choice and salvage and save and give peace back to the earth, because the earth has been here for us. I mean, we walk around in these earth suits, these earth bodies. She's given us everything, and now we have to give back. This is our time. We've taken, and so returning to the land, putting your feet on the land, is an activation of the old form, and it completes the circle as we ascend to the higher level. So we have to complete this circle of activating our earth bodies, our incarnational forms, so we can then move to the next level in the spiral as we integrate the higher crystalline cities and the etheric matrices and the shift in consciousness. How was that?
Powerful.
I don't know, it just came through me.
I love what you said. I love what you said. It's so beautiful, and I love how we've come back. We chose this, and the earth chose us, and that we're here to. I love that, you know, that we're the peacekeepers. We're the peacemakers. We come back because of this land. Because we were chosen and it chose us. We're what I say is we're Gaians. And we have a great purpose. All beings, I feel, that live and breathe. I don't care who you are or where you are, or what boundary you think you are. You're here. We're on one planet. You're Gaian. And you have this purpose. And we actually have this purpose together.
Yes.
Because we're all here together.
Yes.
It's like incredible.
So we're here to love our bodies and our earth bodies and our earth mother, and it's the sacred. The earth itself is the sacred vortex. I mean, we're at an activation point. We're at like a acupuncture point, a chakra point of the earth, but the whole earth is sacred.
And here in Sedona, they really believe that Sedona is the root chakra of the planet because it's so red. And of course, it's iron rich. And so here in the root chakra of the planet is where the Kundalini is seated.
Yes.
Just like in the
I feel
root
that
chakra of your
Kundalini.
spine. So we can really ignite the Kundalini of the planet, and we can ignite the Kundalini in our own chakras by being here in supernatural Sedona. And if you were to put a rod from Sedona directly through the center of the planet, where would you come out, Alan?
I heard you'd come out Tibet, but it would be
In
a
the
long
crown
way
chakra?
to get there. Unless you could teleport. Yes, we're on the other side of Tibet. We're at and that creates a polarity of consciousness. The consciousness here is directly linked to the consciousness of these ancient lamas that brought through the original teachings of the God consciousness. At least the ones that are retaining the pure teachings do. So, I mean, this supernatural, natural Sedona, you know, this is the place of home. This is our, it just feels good.
For more supernatural Sedona, visit our show on Sci-Spi.tv. It's time to make contact in the desert, May 31st through June 3rd. Get your tickets now. It promises to sell out. We'll see you there.